Our next and final speaker, everybody, is an associate professor and chair of the nutrition department at CSB+SJU. She has been teaching about food and nutrition at the College of St. Benedict and St. John's University since 1994. She is passionate about food from every angle, how it nourishes us, how it produced, and how it brings people together. When not in a classroom or engaged in conversations in the Ardolph Science Center at CSB, Jayne is active in her parish, her kitchen at home, or interacting with her 5 fabulous grandchildren. Jayne is a graduate of St. Catherine University and has a Master of Science in Human Nutrition from Penn State University. She has professional experience in clinical and community nutrition in addition to her teaching experience. Please welcome your final speaker, Jayne Byrne, everybody.
Thanks, and I just want to assure you that even though I'm a Katie, once a Benny, always a Benny. When I say the words comfort food, who do you think of? You think of Special K bars, but who were you with when you ate those Special K bars? When I think of comfort food, I think of the people who taught me to take food seriously. And they are pictured here. My mom snapped this picture in the late 50s. I'm the only talking person on my grandfather's lap in the middle of the picture. Pretty cute, huh? I don't know what happened. I don't really know what was going on at this event, but I can tell you there was food, there was lots of it, and it was delicious. And that association between food and family is really what inspired me to study food and nutrition when I went to college. And even though my academic career was rather tightly focused on the scientific realm of nutrition, I never really lost my passion for how food cements relationships, how food creates associations, how food really is the center of any fun gathering or event. We visit with the people, but we come for the food. And so while I find science fascinating, I'm really passionate about the relationship that people have with their food. No other species ever in the history of planet Earth has such a complex relationship with their food. Food is central to a stable society, and for that reason, humans have developed elaborate and complex systems for producing food and distributing food. We build our community around food. It centers our economic system. But closer to home, the ritual of the tables, the rituals and manners that you learn with your family are really the first place where we learn who our family is, who's invited to Sunday dinner, who's invited to the birthday party. That's where we learn about our history. That's where we learn about our traditions. That's where we learn to understand who we are in this family system. So eating together matters. The food matters. Food is a complete sensory experience. There's not a single sensation that isn't impacted by the food that you eat. And perhaps the most important sensation of all is that somehow indescribable sense of satisfaction that happens when your belly is full. Okay? So you can see it, you can hear it, you can smell it, you can taste it, but there's nothing quite like not being hungry anymore. Okay? The people that we share food with all of the time, the people who regularly take the same food that we do, become special to us. Food is essential to life. And because of that, when we share our food, it's an act of solidarity. The people that we share our food with, we create bonds with. And when we create those bonds, that food takes on meaning beyond words. The most simple food, when shared together, means something to us. It symbolizes ideas, concepts, emotions. And those understandings cross cultures, and they transcend language. How do we learn that? We learn that by eating first with our families. Food is a social transaction. For example, in our culture, if you meet someone new and interesting and you suggest that you meet for coffee after class or coffee at 10 o'clock, that means one thing, doesn't it? But if you meet somebody new and interesting and you say, would you like to have dinner with me next Saturday? Could I pick you up at 6? We all know instinctively that there's a different transaction taking place there, and we just let the food do the talking. Okay. So those social transactions are really important to learn because it gets us out of a lot of tight spots. And we learn that at the family dinner. But did you know that less than half of all families in the United States eat a meal together once a week? That is a really disappointing statistic. The benefits of the family meal are many, and I'm going to just point out a few. First, there's the practical. We know that people who eat at home more often eat more nutritious, higher quality food, and we know that it costs less money in the long run. Eating at home has value. But more important is the intangible. And those intangibles are many, and I'm only going to mention a few. But we know that young children who regularly share food at the family table have a much wider vocabulary. They know more words, they know what those words mean, they speak earlier, and they also show a much greater interest in learning to read, and reading is good. It's not all about Google. We also know that frequent and consistent family meals that are reported by adolescents is strong. The adolescents who eat it with their families more often do much better in school. So for some reason, this connection to your family actually improves your academic performance. We know that adolescents who eat family meals 3 or more times a week avoid socially unacceptable behaviors, things like smoking, abusing alcohol, drug addiction. We know that teens who eat regularly with their families make much better food choices when they're away from home, including college, by the way. And this is a good thing because it keeps you healthy. We know that teens who eat regularly with their families are more likely to be social and to have the self-confidence to meet people and to engage in more social transactions away from home. Now, you might be wondering how something as basic or simple as the family meal can create all of these really well-behaved adolescents and smart kids. Well, quite basically, when you break bread together, when you share food, you're forming a bond, and those bonds are permanent. Because food is so sensory, it creates lifelong and lasting memories, and people remember the event of eating with their family. It's also the case that when you come home and you go through that routine of getting ready for supper, it's a transition time. You're leaving that pressured public life behind, and you're creating a little space in the day where you can kind of ease into your private life. Getting supper ready, cooking together, the process of setting the table, getting ready to eat, it's predictable, it's structured. People know what to expect. And when children, in particular, know what to expect, it builds confidence, it builds self-esteem. Adolescents who regularly ate with their families report that they believe their parents are more supportive of them, know them better. They report a stronger personal bond to their parents as adults. I have 4 children. They were crazy. The table was chaotic. And I know that those of you with young children are sitting out there saying, this woman is nuts. She should eat at my house. I'd like to encourage you to persevere, because in the end it will matter. If you just hang in there, the kids will get the routine, and it will make a huge difference in their life. And when it makes a huge difference in their life, it makes a huge difference in our lives. Because healthy, smart, resilient, self-confident people make this place a much more enjoyable experience for all of us. When you mentor the art of conversation at table, when you mentor the art of active listening, and when you engage in a way that shows an interest in someone other than yourself, you create empathy. And empathy makes this a much more kinder and gentler space for us all to live in. Much depends on dinner. Bon appetit.